Well, Max, the police say they're looking at CCTV video footage. They haven't made it public, but they say they're looking for some accomplices they believe escorted those suicide bombers onto the train. They're asking the Russian public to remain vigilant and report any further suspicious activity.
Matthew Chance in Moscow, thank you very much indeed. Well, the North Caucasus region has seen plenty of turmoil in recent years. Let's take a look through Google Earth. The North Caucasus Mountains run between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. They also separate Russia from Georgia. A number of republics within Russia have seen Islamist insurgencies, notably Dagestan, Chechnya and Ingushetia. In the south, the Republic of South Ossetia declared independence from Georgia, a move that has been recognised by just a handful of countries, including Russia, while North Ossetia is part of Russia. Well, Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin built his reputation, in part, on fighting terrorism in that region, but our next guest says his policies have missed the mark. We're joined now by Ariel Cohen. He's a senior Russian expert with a Heritage Foundation. He's in northern Israel. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, do you think this attack, first of all, does have the hallmarks of coming from this region?
Absolutely. We're looking at the track record of terrorists from North Caucasus who not only blew up Moscow metro several times, especially in 2004 and before, but also killed innocent children in the school in Beslan in 2004. And there were also warnings about attacks against major Russian cities and the metro. There was two derailments of trains in 2009 and before that. So yes, it looks like the handiwork of terrorists from Northern Caucasus. However, the Russian government is involved in Northern Caucasus in military operations, in counterterrorism, since 1994. So we are looking now at 16 years of policies. A lot of them, unfortunately, are not leading to the much-needed peace. This is a horrible tragedy for the people of Moscow, but it also a result of tragedies in the Northern Caucasus.
OK, obviously, two people were responsible for this, and they're entirely to blame for it. But give us a greater sense of why you think the Russian government may have had a role in creating the sort of anger that creates this sort of attack.
It's not just two people. It is the leadership of the Northern Caucasus radical Islamic organizations that have connections to the radical Islamic networks around the world. But in terms of the Russian policy, again, we're hearing nothing but tough talk from Mr. Putin, Mr. Medvedev, and others. But we know that before, attacks like these were used by the Russian leadership in order to emasculate the parliament, to cancel democratic procedures countrywide, not just in Northern Caucasus. And we also know, unfortunately, that this does not lead to victories against terrorism. This is not a successful counterinsurgency. So the question must arise, what else can the Russian government do to make their secret services more efficient? In the meantime, their secret services are fighting political opponents.
Okay,
this is not the way to go about this.
We haven't got the Russian government's perspective on this one at this particular time, but just tell us a bit about the Black Widows, because there's some suggestion that they have re-emerged and this was perhaps an attack that involved them somehow. But what do we know about them, and do you think it is likely that they're linked here?
The Black Widows are a suicide bomber wing of a nasty, militant Islamist organization called the Garden of the Faithful, or the Garden of the Believers, Riyad us-Salihin in Arabic. And they were operated by men who were sending these women to their death after brainwashing them. And this is a horrible and tragic way to wage a war that you cannot justify such violence against innocent civilians, as we saw in other places. I'm talking to you from Israel. Israel suffered many suicide attacks in the early 2000s. We remember such attacks in London and in Madrid, and this is clearly not the way to go about the causes these people ascribe to.
OK, Ariel Cohen, thank you very much indeed for joining us from the Heritage Foundation. Now, in other news, a Japanese video game that rewards players for rape is stirring a huge controversy online. There are increasing concerns about whether games like Rape Lay lead to violence and to discrimination. And here's what some of you are saying about that. Deanne writes, this game is just showing young people that it's OK to do these types of things to women. Chaz is a gamer of 20 years and says, I don't feel it should be banned, as censorship only creates more of a taboo and hence a greater desire. While Kelly asks, would you rather they satisfy their fetishes on a computer game, or should we ban it and risk them satisfying their fetishes on real people? We've got more on this controversial video game story coming up. It's really gripped the world. And in the meantime, head to our website, cnn.com/connect, to get your voice heard on the issue. We'll read out some of your comments a little later on. Now, in many cultures, the cigar has long been considered a manly indulgence. Well, things are changing in Cuba. The symbol of prestige is also getting elegant. We'll tell you why ladies are being offered a light next.
Last-minute business travel can be a hassle. That's why at SkyTeam, we offer you seamless access to over 840 destinations.